So, what can you expect from tonight? So the first hour we will use to talk about Technical University of Munich and TUM School of Management at all three programs. Maybe some of you already know which program you're interested in, but it's very good to also know what the other programs are, because you will need this information later if you apply to our program. Around 7 p.m. we will have a short 15-minute break, so you will have a chance to take more Glühwein and socialize with each other, because you might have future classmates here tonight. And then 7:15, we will start with a panel. And we will give a lot of time for the panel this time, because last time we could have had much more questions also from the audience, so that you have also a chance to ask your questions. And then in the end, we will have a fair. So that fair is kind of just in this room, so you have a more chance to talk with our program managers about your individual questions. So hopefully the agenda looks great for you, and we will start then with the introduction to Technical University of Munich and the School of Management. And I will start first with a video, because of course a picture tells more than 1,000 words.
How will we live in the future? Where will we live? How will we work? And how will we navigate our cars in cities of the future? How will we ensure that we don't run out of fuel? What will robots look like, and how will we communicate with them? Will we travel using new modes of transportation? With environmentally friendly technologies and at greater speeds than ever before? How will we make medical diagnoses? Which surgical techniques will we employ? And how will we treat serious diseases like cancer? We are working every bit as ambitiously as the technological change of our day is profound, full of passion and curiosity for the greatest challenges of our society. We are among the most successful universities in the world. Venerated as the best technical university in Germany, we promote bold ideas and entrepreneurial flair for the future of our next generation talents and the future of our employers. Exceptional in teaching and research. Interdisciplinary, beyond subject boundaries. International at the highest level. Rooted in tradition and open to the world, we take the lead in competitions as well as university rankings. We research and study life sciences as we do the art of living. We are a large family of prize winners, alumni, students and researchers. And we are a large enterprise that thinks and acts economically. With high standards and ambitious goals, we squarely face international competition and connect with people from around the world. But changing the world on a grand scale entails understanding its finest details in all its forms and colors, elements and areas of life. A task that day to day drives us to the highest levels of performance, which we are all committed to. After all, for over 150 years, we have been fulfilling an important mission to kindle the economy with the spark of science. And we continue doing that to this day. With our curiosity, our courage, our imagination, and our passionate desire to succeed, we hold the power to improve the world and all of our lives. We are TUM.
So there you got some impressions. Personally, I really like that video. We always show that in our open days and EMBA days, and I still get some chills when I really listen to the message of the video. And something that always impresses me is the fact that TUM has produced 17 Nobel Prize winners. I've worked around Europe in this executive education field, in top universities in Finland, the Netherlands, Lisbon, Portugal. I'm still part of adjunct faculty pool, the Alliance Munster Business School. And TUM is the first university where I see that the university is talking about Nobel Prize winners. So that is pretty cool. Here you can see the history line, the key years of TUM. So in 1868, TUM was founded. So that's 151 years ago. And so the university has a very long history. And university is known to be an entrepreneurial university. 2002, much less time, that was when TUM School of Management was built. TUM School of Management is the youngest department, but also the fastest growing department at TUM. And also just in the last 4 or 5 years, the executive education team has also doubled, if not tripled, by headcount. Including, I also joined 1.5 years ago, the team. John joined earlier this year, and Victoria now in October. But we are really attracting more and more also international talent to the team. I'm from Finland, John is from Scotland. We have Charles, who is overseeing a young professionals program. He's from USA. So we are really extending the global reach far beyond Munich. 2006, TUM received the University of Excellence Award. And 2017 was a very important year because then we received a triple accreditation. And when you do your research about an MBA program, you really want to have that triple accreditation in the school, because that means that it's well recognized all over the world, your degree. So AAZSB, that's American, ECIS is European, and then we are also part of Association of MBAs. And it's not that you get it one time, you need to constantly prove that you are still worthy. So this is a good point to think. TUM, of course, research is very important for TUM. So TUM conducts research, top research, in the biggest challenges facing society, especially leading in the digital age. That is a huge topic that crosses all our programs, regardless of whether you do the executive MBA business and IT, but this is something that you see across the programs. Also research on technology and innovation, and also we have a lot of certificate programs about digital cities and other like very current topics like blockchain and other. And executive education, what we are doing here at the Executive Education Center, that's very a major priority for TUM. And of course that's how it should be. And I was always passionate about executive education. That's why I wanted to work also in this field abroad as well. Because that's where you really combine research and industry expertise with people who have professional work experience. It's more like working in consultancy, that's how I see it. Also, some of the rankings are of course important. So as an example, I really like that TUM is part of the top 10 most innovative universities in Europe. And something that my wonderful colleague Victoria likes me to mention is Professor Kretschmer, who is the academic director for Executive MBA Business and IT. So he was also nominated to be the #1 German-speaking researcher. And also TUM is part of the #2 amongst German-speaking research universities. Also employability rankings, #1 in Germany, #6 globally. Because of course when you do an MBA, you have expectations that your career will grow from this, either within the company or in another industry. For many, the reason doing an MBA is to start new without going back to being a trainee or intern in a company, because you have already experience that you want to build and bridge to other fields. Here is our mission. I cannot remember it by heart, but I remember that we always talk about developing responsible leaders. But I will read it out. So we facilitate our participants' knowledge, skills, and personal development. Our aim is to develop highly effective, innovative, and there is the word, responsible, decision makers who foster the transformation of organizations and society. some of the unique selling points, or what we think that makes us unique. Very important point is the evidence-based management approach. So everything we teach in our programs is really based on research evidence. That being said, don't be afraid that our programs would be too research or too academical, because we of course always bring also industry practitioners, and sometimes the whole day is done by an external person. We also prioritize personal and leadership development. And also, especially because we are a technical university, but we are also a school of management. We are like a business school within a university. That's unique, because if you look at the companies, most of the companies, they are dealing with technological digitalization changes. So which university is kind of the best to teach these topics? It's a university who is technologically driven, but at the same time business-minded. And we have also strong worldwide network. We partner, as an example, with Tsinghua University, that John will tell more about in the Executive MBA General Management. We also take our students to Berkeley, California. We also partner with HEC Paris in our young professionals programs, and we look constantly for more international partners. So here is an overview of our 3 Executive MBA programs. The first one is the classical one. That's the Executive MBA in General Management. And that's meant for people who are really passionate about leadership, because every module in the program will have also information about leadership. And it has also special features relevant to leadership development. The next one, and if I go back still for the general management, that's also the most diverse. We have people from all kinds of backgrounds: doctors, lawyers, architects. Regardless of your background, this is usually the classical pickup for you guys. We have a growing interest for Executive in Business and IT, because of course companies see the value of being able to combine business and technology. And that's meant for anybody who works in the digital transformation, not necessarily in IT department, but who works in the digital transformation topics. And then we have also the Executive MBA in Innovation and Business Creation. That is meant for either for entrepreneurs or those who work in innovation manager roles within companies or in the business creation department. So actually, personally, I really like all 3 of them, so I could do all 3 of them. It would be very difficult for me to pick, but thank God I'm not picking now, so that's your job here. What is common in these 3 programs? All programs are giving or will give you the same title: Master of Business Administration MBA, awarded by TUM. All will give you 90 ECTS credits, and you will do a master's thesis at the end of the program in all 3. You will also have an access to PhD studies, because that might be also relevant in the German markets for some of you guys. They are modular, which means that you don't need to give up your work or career, but you can actually do this next to your full-time job, usually. All programs are fully in English. If these were in German, maybe I wouldn't be standing here, because I don't speak that much German. I understand somewhat, but I'm here because of my experience from the MBA field around Europe. So I try to extract that information for TUM. So we have also a lot of students who don't speak German. So people who are expats here in Munich. We have also fly-in students. So we have, as an example, a lady who is based in Shanghai, who is doing an Executive MBA program here in Munich. We have also a guy who is based in Mozambique, in Africa, always changing flights in Johannesburg and Frankfurt to come here to Munich. That's pretty persistent. We have also a lady who is based in Buenos Aires that you will meet later tonight, because she will join the panel. So, and that's how we like the programs really to be really globally, not just that you have 50% internationals and then most of them are from 1 or 2 countries, but really very diverse group of students. You will also, what is also, if I go back to what is common, you will need to have at least 3 years work experience in all 3 programs. That being said, most of our students have between 8 to 10, but 3 years is the minimum that you need. Also proficiency in English, no test needed, but we will test that in your admission interview and also in your essays. And also, ideally, you have already some leadership experience. If not directly managing teams, because that might be tricky to get nowadays in flat organizations where there are less opportunities to really manage people. But if you have minimum managed like projects, that's already very helpful. But especially in executive management, many of our people are also more senior, might have 20 years work experience. So of course you can learn a lot from their experience already managing teams. And also all 3 programs have a wonderful study group. So that is also I want to mention here. But I think in this point, I want to hand over to our Scottish star, John, who hopefully have somebody can watch over the chat while he comes here to talk. So he will so he will introduce you to extreme management. So thank you, John.
Thank you very much indeed, Anna, for the very warm welcome. I'm sure our viewers online will survive for a few minutes while I address the important issue of the Executive MBA in General Management. First of all, thank you all so much for coming tonight. Great to see you, also in festive wear. I very much like this jumper here at the front. It's lovely. Just to introduce myself very quickly, my name is John. I'm the program manager for our flagship program, the Executive MBA in General Management, which I'm just going to briefly run you through. As Anna's already touched upon, it's our longest running program, so successfully running now for just over 15 years. So it's well established, it's successful, it's our biggest program. But the one thing that makes this special, rather than thinking that it's just about general management, is our real focus on you as leaders and wanting to develop you through those 2 years. So let's just take a quick look at some of the specifics of the program. In terms of the structure, in terms of the modules, you would come to us about every 5 to 6 weeks, and there would be intense weekends. You would arrive on a Thursday in the morning, typically around 8 or 9, and you would leave again on the Tuesday, having spent the weekend with us, about 6. So they're quite long days, quite intense days, but also very rewarding days, I would say. The next start is in May 2020, which you'll see as a pattern across all of our programs, the next intake for the summer semester. And we've also touched briefly with Anna before as well. The real focus in this program is leadership and personal development. One really important aspect of that, which is unique to this program, is the mentorship program, which we run with our students in either their 2nd or 3rd semester, where we would link you up with an experienced leader from industry, completely outside of the academic world, so you have the opportunity to share experience with them and learn something from their experience. The other thing that's quite unique about this is our long-standing and wonderful partnership with Tsinghua University in Beijing, which is recognized as one of the best universities, not just in China, but actually in Asia. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So just to give you a flavor of the sort of different leadership tools that we have within the program, how is it that we're actually going to develop you? You'll see this wonderful lady here on the left-hand side is our Vice Dean, Professor Dr. Claudia Poyce, and she heads up one of the chairs at TUM School of Management. Their focus there is really looking at strategic leadership, and within that they have a fantastic team who develop digital tools to which you can use, and we really bring those into the program. An example of those is the leadership profile you can see on the right-hand side, which is a tool that we invite our students to use to reflect upon their own leadership styles, looking at the different parameters of leadership. How do they judge themselves on that scale? To complement that, we ask them to share this survey, this review with their employees, with their employer, with the people that they work with. And then by analysing either the points that are the same perhaps, or perhaps wildly different, we can learn a little bit about where our strengths and weaknesses are as leaders. Something we then provide, and this is another tool developed by our wonderful leadership team here, is an app called Emma. You'll see here, it is in German, but it does come in an English version too. Think of Emma as a fitness app, but for your own leadership and personal development. It's a little bit like Go Run. You put in goals that suit you, that fit to your needs, and the app will begin to suggest behaviors, techniques that you can practice in real life, in the workplace. You would then input the results of those different exercises that you've practiced, and the app will continue to generate new ideas, new behaviors for you to try out to really help you reach those goals that you set. Let's just dip quickly into the content. You'll see here we have 6 core modules covering all the main bases that MBAs should. Everything from strategy, through to finance, through to stakeholder management. You would complete those 6 modules within your first year. In your second year, we'd have the international trip to China, which is the module in the dark blue. 2-week trip, where we would combine both an academic program with a cultural one, so that you can really get to learn a lot more about how business is done in China and how they link in with the wider world economy. In your second summer, you have the opportunity to personalize your learning to you. So a fantastic opportunity to dive into those issues that you're most interested in. For those of you, for example, who work in finance, you might not necessarily need to do another finance module. Likewise, if you're in operations, you might not need to do operations and supply chain management. But it gives you the opportunity to really go a lot deeper into those areas. At the moment, we offer these 4 core electives, but we're also looking to expand on those, including the blockchain option that Anna touched upon before, and also a certificate on private equity analysis. We can talk about those a bit later on if that'd be helpful. You'll also see there's a ring that goes around the modules, which is leadership and personal development. They're also accredited modules, so they have academic value, but they do not have their own freestanding module. So we're not going to ask you to come and do 6 days just on personal development. Instead, what we try to do is we weave that into the program all the way throughout. So typically you would be doing half a day per 6 days module just on leadership or personal development. So just a quick look into the China module. In the background here, you'll see the wonderful campus of Tsinghua University. I've not been yet, but I will be going with Tobias, who's at the back later this year. They've got a fantastic, huge university campus, and like I say, really at the forefront of Asian universities. And the last slide, which I think is always a really good one to finish on, because quite regularly I do get asked by prospective students, is this MBA for me? Am I the right fit to do the General Management MBA? And one of the things, and again, Anna very briefly touched upon this, is that we have an extremely diverse class, always. There's some big names there that you'll recognize, some of the big German brands, your BMWs, your Audis, your Allianz. But we also have participants who come from quite varied backgrounds, from the hidden champions of the German economy, consultancies, even non-for-profit. We recently, one of our graduates this year was Katharina Schulze of the Green Party. She came and completed her MBA with us from politics. And we think this is a strength for 2 big reasons. I think the first, and I hope this is something you'll contemplate when thinking about which MBA to apply to, is that the value of an MBA, it's not just in the professors that come up here to talk to you. It's not just in the expert speakers that we bring in. It's not even just in the trip to China. The real value is the person sitting next to you. That wonderful network that you're going to build, those contacts, that they're going to last way beyond the end of the 2 years, hopefully way beyond that graduation day. You're going to learn so much from them, from their different perspectives, from their experiences. And the second thing, which for me personally is a really important point, and it ties in with the mission, is that we truly believe that by having so many students from so many different backgrounds, we can have that impact on society. We can really deliver something in terms of trying to solve those problems for the future. And with that, I would ask you to warmly welcome my wonderful colleague Simon to the stage to talk to you a little bit more about the MBA in Innovation and business creation. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, John. Oh, that's quite loud. Hello, good evening. Nice to meet you. Yeah. My name is Simon Kratzer, and I'm program manager for the Executive MBA in Innovation and Business Creation. And before I provide you with more detailed information about the program, its structure, the content, and all that, I would like to share personally what I think are the 3 core aspects that make this program very special. The first one is that I actually don't work for TUM, but Unternehmertum. So the program is based on a partnership between the university, TUM, which is of course great because we have, as mentioned, a leading university, a great business school, fantastic professors, the latest research, all that. And on the other hand, we have Unternehmertum, which is an independent entity, an entrepreneurship center that is all about supporting entrepreneurs from the very first idea to going public to an IPO. And in order to do that, we have lots of different offerings. It starts with educational offerings like this MBA program, but also lots of programs for master's, bachelor's students, and continues with incubation programs, acceleration programs. We have programs where we work with lots of large companies. We have a venture capital fund that invests in startups. So we have really offerings from that go through all the stages of the entrepreneurial process. And since you are part also of this, you have the opportunity to benefit both from the university and TUM and from this ecosystem, and to dive right into that and benefit from all those offerings. The second aspect is the project work, which is really essential for this program. We have a team project in the beginning of the program, where right from the beginning you work with 4 teammates in groups together, and you go through the entrepreneurial experience, and you really learn how to apply the different methodologies, tools. You interact with potential customers, users. You go out there, you build prototypes, you set up hypotheses, you test them. So within a very short time frame, you really learn how to drive innovation. And this experience is very hands-on, and it actually happens on a regular basis, that based on those team projects, already we have real startups that emerge, or we have people who bring their ideas into the companies that they work for. So we try to generate value at any time in the program. And in the second part of the program, you have a so-called impact project. And this is a second opportunity, but here it's not so much about learning how to apply those tools, but it's about actually creating value. And you choose a topic, can be a startup that you want to start, can be an innovation project from your company, can be a social project, and you really use all you've learned throughout the program, and also all the resources you have access to really drive an innovation project forward. And and you do that really hands-on. You have coaches who support you. You have access to lots of experts, and it's amazing to see what actually happens in this short time frame of 1.5 or 2 years. And the third aspect I would like to mention is the community. We really have a very close-knit group. You're in the same class with the same people from day 1 till the very last day, and you really get to know those people. You work with them in startup projects. You have a very intense experience. And when you go out of the program, you continue to interact with them. You become an alumni, you have an alumni club, and also you have this huge network around you. So whatever you want to do afterwards, if you keep working for a large enterprise or start your own business, there will be people around you that can support you. And it's great to see also that even 10 years after they did the program, we still have people who set up new business together, or like corporates who start hiring people from the program. So far, now comes the dry stuff. Good. Very quickly, as already mentioned, the focus is on entrepreneurship and innovation topic. And here, it's very important that nobody who joins the program has to start a business. We don't understand the program as something that is solely focused on startups, but it's about creating new business opportunities in new organizations or existing organizations. So it's really up to you. But definitely what you need is a passion for entrepreneurship and innovation. And everybody who will be in class has the same passion, and that really brings people together. As mentioned, we have a team project and impact project, so it's very hand-on. And we also have a study trip. We go to Berkeley in the US, which I think also makes sense for a program that is focused on startups, because understanding the American perspective, the perspective on Silicon Valley, on innovation and business creation is crucial. And it's quite interesting after half a year to compare what you've learned here and what you've experienced, and how different that might look from the experience of our partners at UC Berkeley. Yeah, and lastly, the partnership between TUM and Unternehmertum, which is really unique and makes this program, I think, very special. The people in the class are really a mixture. It's very diverse. We have about 50% international participants. In the current class, we have about 30% female participants, 70% male. And we have people all from all different academic backgrounds, and also people working for large enterprises or startups. 30% already have started a business, 70% haven't. And also, when it comes to age, it's very diverse. So we really have people who are maybe 28 years old who have already started a business, and we have people who are in their 50s and have management experience in large corporations. And we believe that they can all provide a lot of value, and this diversity really helps the program. Our classes run between 2 and 6 days. Usually it's like 3 or 4, so from Thursday to Sunday. And the program is designed in a way that you can work full-time and do the program at the same time, which of course requires a certain commitment. Our next program start is in May of 2020. And as the other programs, our tuition fee is 39,000 euros. So there's still a bit of time till the program starts, but definitely makes sense to prepare to apply soon. Here you see 2 pictures actually from the last class. While they're doing the impact project and the team project, as I mentioned, very intense experience on a personal level, but also when it comes to the content and really skills that you learn, that you really go through this business model process, that you learn how to apply the different tools, that you get in touch with experts, and that you benefit from the skills and the knowledge of your peers. And also in the team project, where you have like the focus maybe more on the learning experience. So if you just do the project for fun, it's all right. You don't have to do anything else. But while experiencing this process, you get an idea of what could actually come out of such a project. Here just briefly, our curriculum. We have 6 learning modules. We have 1 assignment for every learning module, so it can be a presentation or a paper that you write. We don't have any sit-in exams. And all those programs are run mainly by professors of TUM, but they always bring in founders, entrepreneurs, startup experts, investors who share their perspective, and also the content is always focused on innovation and business creation. Some programs or some modules you would find in other programs or in a very similar fashion, and some of them are very unique and very focused on, for example, entrepreneurship or financing of new businesses. Then, in parallel to that, we have the team project in the beginning, then the international trip, and the impact project. And it all ends with a master thesis that you have to write at the end, and there it's up to you really what you want to write your thesis about. We always recommend people also to look for opportunities to create actual value, like in the impact project and the team project. So for example, that they write about one aspect of their innovation or startup project. Here you see a picture. It's also from 2 years ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't there that year in Berkeley. Very intense experience, and I think also a great opportunity to really get to know the other people you're in class with. And when we ask our participants, they always say that this is really a highlight for them, no matter if they're people who go to Silicon Valley on a regular basis for business, or if they're people who've never been to the US. Lastly, network, actually this is quite outdated, and it's getting a bit boring because at this point we could put every company logo on there. So we have people in class from all the large corporations. Unternehmertum has partnerships with basically every large company, nationally and internationally. So for example, we also work closely with Facebook, with Google, with SAP, BMW, all of them. And our participants before the program or after the program also work for those companies. And we have lots of startups in our network. On the right, the top 4 startups are startups that were founded by alumni or participants of our program. Does anyone know one of them? The 4 on top? Oh, yeah, so reference, Vitafy, Mr. Beam, tiramisu. So it looks like they did a pretty bad job, but actually they're pretty successful. For example, reference is a legal tech startup. They do contract analysis of legal documents based on AI and create recommendations for large companies or law offices. Yeah, and this is exciting to see when you have startups like that emerge from the program. And reference is also example of a person who did the program and then actually went through all the different offerings at Unternehmertum, incubation program, acceleration program, and also got venture capital from us, which is of course a nice start to an entrepreneurial journey. Good, that's it from my side, and thank you very much for listening, and I would like to hand over to give you some more information about the Executive MBA in Business and IT.
So, good evening, everyone. I hope you still have some energy for my favorite program, obviously, the Business and IT MBA. So this program is for professionals who would like to develop their career in the interface of management and IT. So you might have already been involved in a project of digitalization within your company, or you would like to develop exactly in this path, learn more about technologies, new ways of working, so this might be the right program for you, and I'm very happy to give you some more insights about this program. So the program is for managers, or we would like to educate managers to work in the digital age and in the interface of management and IT. We have, which is unique for this program, a partnership with the University of St. Gallen. So you will see later on that some of our models will take place here at the TUM universities and the masters at St. Gallen University. Back then it was like that the industry or the companies approached the universities, so St. Gallen and the TUM University, and asked why is there not a program which exactly aimed for the interface of management and IT and bring these most important topics together. So we started to develop the program here, and that's why we have this cooperation still ongoing, which is a very nice opportunity. So the Business and IT MBA is the most flexible program actually, because you can make your own schedule. You can change modules, you can shift them around, you can also start, I will come back to this later on, as a certificate participant as well. So you can, for example, have I would say, soft entry, which means that you can participate just in one module, you can understand the dynamic, you can understand the workload, and then you can decide afterward if you would like to do the full MBA program. And we have an international study trip to Berkeley as well, actually. So I think also for the topic of digitalization and technology, this is also a very important place to go to learn about international business in the US. Usually things are going much faster there as in Germany, and to visit the Silicon Valley, I think this is also very nice here. Yeah, the target group I mentioned before, it's about managers who wants to work on this digital transformation processes. And our classes run from Monday to Friday. So this is always a full week, 5 days. You usually start at 8 in the morning and end at 6. And we do have 2 evening sessions where we invite companies, practitioners from the market. So you get some insights directly from companies and learn more about cases and have some nice experience here. Actually, this is the program who starts already in April. It's the last week of April in 2020. And the tuition fee is the same. Yeah, here I mentioned the different models and the models which take place in St. Gallen at TUM University, and you see the light blue models all take place here at the TUM University. You have like the basic management skills, obviously you will experience here as well, like finance, accounting, strategy and organization. But you have a lot of modules which are deep diving into this technology topic. So we're talking here about IT security and privacy management, business processes and technologies. We have also digital transformation, a model which is focusing directly on this. And then you see the green modules, which are all take place in the St. Gallen University. And the study trip, obviously, which I mentioned already. You see also, it's quite similar what John introduced in the general MBA, the circle around all the modules, which is focusing on the personal development. The same here, we don't have a specific module which is focusing on personal development, but you will have in each module half a day, which is like focusing on your personal development, on your leadership skills. What is your leadership style? You will learn here much more into this topic. Yeah, I mentioned already in the introduction the certificate participants. So if you're not sure about the workload, how you can handle personal life, your job, with an MBA, you can start as a certificate participant, participate in one module. You will have the whole experience, the amount you pay, the 3,200 euros. If you decided afterwards to do the full MBA, it will be deducted, of course, from the tuition fee, and also if you have any credits, it will take it into your account as well. So there is no loss, actually, so you can just have a first impression and participate in one of the models if you think one might be the specific interest to you, then you could go this way. So I think also the same as John, the best impression is to talk about a specific module or to give you some insights what exactly you would learn within these modules. So this module, the business processes and technology, you will on the one hand learn about general business processes, what are the criteria for business processes, how to manage them, how to manage the risk within a business process, and also you have always the connection to technology. So what kind of technology are the best for a business process? You should be educated to bring ideas to the board to introduce technologies for your company, and you would understand afterwards which technology might be the best for a specific business process. IT security and privacy management. I think this model is it all mined in media due to some cases we had. It's a very sensitive topic, and there is a big focus, and you will understand the importance of IT security and privacy management. We're talking here about GDPR, which was in all the medias and newspapers, and I think a lot of companies already heard about that or have been involved in a project. So you will learn here to handle the risk of cybercrime. You will learn about how to align your IT strategy with the management strategy of your company and really understand the reasons behind the criteria for privacy management and have this connection here to the management level and the board. Study trip, as it's going to the US Berkeley University as well. I don't need to deep dive to think into this, but I think for technology it's very important to be in the Silicon Valley, to be there in the US and to understand how they handle these topics, what kind of projects are ongoing there in terms of digitalization. And this is a very interesting experience as well. You see the dates, we always go at the end of September. I think it's very exciting also in terms of intercultural experience, intercultural business. So this will be happening next year as well. And here as well, a lot of people always ask, do I need to have an IT background for this study? I do have interest, I do have worked in projects of digitalization, but I don't have, I cannot programming or anything like that. And here I really want to highlight that's not necessary. We have a lot of people from different backgrounds who might have worked on a project, but also have a completely different background. We have people from economics background, we have engineers, we have also social science, actually one student from us. So this is something I would like to highlight here. If you're really interested in develop your career in this path, go for it. You don't need to programize or anything like that. Yeah, I will close my short speech with some images. As I mentioned before, the classes run from Monday to Friday, And you have some images here from, of course, we meet always for lunch, so time for networking, which was highlighted here already several times. But the contact with the other participants is very important and a big value to this program. We have some cooking events in the evening to socialize, but always like the practitioners' cases. And yeah, here you have a lot of time to meet experts from the market, but also to connect with your alumni, with your students. And I think now I will hand over back to Anna to talk about the admission process, right?
Thanks a lot, John and Simon and Victoria, for the wonderful program introductions. As you can see, our program managers are really experts in their program. Despite if they started just in this year, but they have a lot of content and knowledge too. So they are perfect persons to really go and consult about the programs. How many of you have already an idea which program you're interested in? Raise your hand. Cool. I still recommend that you keep an open mind, especially for the panel, because sometimes you have one direction in your mind, but then you realize that another one might be also good for you. The admission process, it's similar for all three programs. So we have now, the applications are open for intake 2020, and 2 of the programs start either in autumn or spring, and then the innovation business creation only once in a year. So especially if you are going for the innovation business creation, you need to pay attention for these deadlines. So one round already finished, like mid-November. That's the first round. And we always take the applications that have come by these deadlines. So 15th January, for that you still have time, Christmas time, to think about finance, think about how to make it work next to your studies. And that would be a good next point to apply. And then the last application round closes on 15th of February for the spring intake. So that's already a few months before the program starts. So bear that in mind and be on time. And because it takes time, we are a public university, it takes time to find interview time with our professors as well, and also to really collect all the documents. And we have also plenty of them, so that's why it's important that you apply on time. What also you need to always have is this kind of consultation idea where you're applying to. That's why we don't usually provide the link to the application that openly on the website, because we want you to do first-year research. And the program always, you can apply 6 months before. So then 1st of April, you can start applying for the fall, if you're looking for fall intake. What you can also do is that you can apply now for spring, and then if you feel that it comes too quickly, or there's some big thing happening at work, you can also delay the start. But on the other hand, it's sometimes that it never comes like a perfect time. Because especially when you're in 30s, somewhere many of you are, or in 40s, you have family commitments, you have big work projects, maybe promotion coming, or you're fighting for that. So in some point, you just need to take the time to do it. And there is a full, wonderful webpage, admissions page. You cannot now see the link, but if you go to a website, you can find the apply now, and then you will have all the information about all the documents that you need. That's very helpful, and that's a new feature. So I recommend that you have a look at that. And then the applications are done at TUM online. And now all the applications are done totally online. So we have also become more digital in this sense. Just as a reminder, all three programs, Executive in General Management, focused on leadership, Executive MBA in Innovation and Business Creation, for entrepreneurial mindsets, or those who love innovation, business creation. That being said, we have also modules focused on innovation and entrepreneurship also in the other programs. So do not think that all the entrepreneurs or innovators are just in the innovation business creation program, but it's just more about the focus of the full degree. And then the Executive MBA in Business and IT for people who work or who really want to work in the digital transformation. Of course, easier for those people who already work and know the contents in it. And also, like, if you want to brand yourself as a business and IT or digital transformation expert, then it's good to go with business and IT. And here are your contact persons. So John, you already have an idea about our Scottish colleague. He's the program manager for the core modules. And he will be also going to China with the next intake. So after that, he will have a lot of also information to give about the China trip. I was there this year with the current group, so also you can approach me, so I can also share experiences from that trip. We have also a new program manager for the elective courses, Sophie. Do you want to say something for the group? Now would be a good time.
This comes unexpected. I'm really brand new. I just started 2 weeks ago, and I will be, as Anna just said, managing the electives you have seen on the schedule that John showed us. So yeah, when you have questions on that, give me a little bit of time, but I think let's wait until after Christmas and then I will have an idea what is going on.
Thanks, Sophie. I had also the delight to be interviewing also Sophie when she was applying. I was really like, oh, we need to get her. So I'm really happy she accepted our offer. And then I also put still my face there. So I used to work with the elective courses. I know them by heart, especially now from the last summer. So if you want detailed information about the different electives and what contents is there, you can also approach me with that question. And together we will make sure that the electives will be wonderful also for the next intake. So I'm not going anywhere. It's just that my role has focused now more on the business development side, and especially on international customized programs that I'm also doing for, as an example, for Italian MBA students who came here for their international week. I've also prepared a program proposal for Tsinghua University for their students to come here, as an example. And earlier this month, I had a French group from École Polytechnique in Paris. So it gives me a lot of busy, but that's the same situation across the team. Business and IT, Victoria is your go-to person especially, but also John might be covering Victoria. So if you have questions, you cannot find Victoria, she's maybe having a wonderful holiday, then John will step in for that. And then for the innovation business creation, here we have many contact persons. So Simon is your first person to talk about the modules, and he will be running the programs as the program manager. But then regarding assignments and master's thesis, Sophie is your go-to person, so she's also there in this program. And also Juliana Schuster is also working with this program. I saw her earlier today. Okay, she left anyhow. She's actually having like some Christmas time, unlike us people here. And now we have 3 minutes until 7, so we're very much on time. Maybe if there is one question here, maybe we can take now from based on this presentation before we start a break. Does someone have some question in mind? Yes? So the question was that if you get accepted to the program, and how long can you think about your decision? There is no exact deadline from the time that you get admission to the program, but of course we have limited seats, so you might want to a little bit consider that. But there is, you can talk especially with Stephanie Kelbo, who is our admission manager for all 3 EMBA programs, so she can give you more insights when do you need to latest accept the place. But there is not like that now you have 1 week time to decide. So you have some time to think about what's the perfect time. Maybe one more question. Yes? I didn't really get the first question, but I will answer the second question about visiting lecturers. So as an example, TUM has many visiting faculty members as well from other universities. We have also some professors who teach, as an example, at SAD and IE, also in other universities. And also we are very careful with who do we let in to teach in these programs. There's lecture evaluations after every module. If you don't get good results, especially 2 times in a row, it's unlikely that you will teach in the next cohort. And we also always invite, as an example, our alumni to also give guest speakers. And also, as an example, we use the professor from St. Gallen, who was, as an example, in our leadership development module, who was very well received because she could combine really both the academic research and also very practical hands-on tools on team leadership. I'm not sure if that answers your question. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, definitely. We use a lot of case studies as pre-assignments and also as kind of the assignment which is created after the course. Sometimes it's individual, sometimes it's a team assignment, but definitely, of course. And often also you're asked to bring your own cases and stories from your own company. And also, as an example, your master's thesis, you can do that linked to your own company. I changed my own career with my master's thesis, which I did for Finnair, national airline in Finland. And that's why I always say that don't waste the thesis opportunity, because that can really help you change industries, careers, and functions. I'm looking at now, it's 7, but maybe one more.
Yeah, it's a question about case studies. I'm very interested in the MBA for Innovation and Business Creation. And I know there are lots of examples of shared economy startups and companies which have failed, unfortunately. And my great aim is about one of those companies, but I would really like to know if you're speaking in one of your lectures about cases where shared economy companies like WeWork, for example, recently. So seeing why they failed and how you can create companies without making those mistakes.
Yeah, I think the topic of failure is a huge topic, of course, when it comes to entrepreneurship, because as we all know, depending on which numbers you believe in, between 15 and 5% of all startups survive and the rest fails. So we bring in founders, entrepreneurs, of course, of successful enterprises, but we also bring in founders of failed startups, and they share with us what they think or what they did right and what they got wrong and what led to their failure. For example, in the very beginning of the program, when we talk about the team project and how you work together in teams, we bring in founders of companies that failed due to personal problems between the team members. And it's very interesting to see that what you're experiencing in this learning environment is exactly what happens in actual startups as well. And it can be a reason for failure. And then we also know that based on research and experiences of those people, that there are countermeasures and things you can do as a team project group or as a startup to really avoid this trap of interpersonal problems. So yeah, that's always a topic. And also on a larger scale that we have case studies. For example, in Berkeley, we actually work on case studies and we don't tell people like which are the startups or which are the companies that we're talking about that failed and that were successful. And we try to find out based on those case studies if there are maybe hints that give away already if those companies were eventually successful or not. So yeah.
Thank you, Simon, and for the questions. So now it's time to take a short break. So we will come back here and we will start, if not 15 past, then maybe 17, 18 past. And then we start for the panel. So enjoy the networking, talk to other people, and we will see you soon here. Thank you. Welcome back all. I hope you had a bit longer break than expected. I can see a lot of engagement, a lot of great questions. So we excuse the longer break. As you can see, we have our wonderful panelists here sharing as much as possible their experience and tips and hints. So we have two people from the Executive MBA in Innovation and Business Creation here. So we have the lady who is traveling back and forth from Buenos Aires, Geraldine Lindvers. She used to work many, many years as a client manager at Munich Re, at an insurance company here in Munich. And at the moment, she's doing a little bit sabbatical, a little bit fine-tuning the new career paths. She's also doing CFA in addition to the program. So welcome, Geraldine. Then we have here Taman Gossi from the Boston Consulting Group. How was that so difficult tonight? Maybe Christmas. So she is alumni from the Executive MBA in Innovation and Business Creation. So she's the only alumni here tonight. Maybe the others are so busy with their Christmas parties, but I'm sure that she can represent well the alumni perspective also from the other programs. Then we have Tobias Voita from Executive MBA in General Management, current student here, and he works as a program manager at Bausch and Lomb Technologies, so with medical devices. And last but not least, we have a student, but you are quite advanced in your studies already, Dragos Stana from the Executive in Business and IT. And you work at Brain Lab, and your title was IT Project Consultant. Okay, cool. So maybe we'd have a first round that you can a little bit tell more about yourself, something that I didn't mention already. If Geraldine, if you want to start.
Okay, so yes, my name is Geraldine. I'm an economist. I started after my studies in Munich Re, worked there for 16 years, then moved to Buenos Aires. Then 2018 was a quite important year for me because Germany didn't do anything in the World Cup. That was really, really bad for me. Then I separated and my company offered me to leave the company with a package. So I thought, okay, a lot of things in once, and I accepted the package and said like, look, I really, really loved my job at Munich Re. I loved the company, but now it's time to do something on my own. And I took the year 2019 as my year for a sabbatical because during my work, I never did any studies or anything beside work. So I decided, okay, I want to do some studies. I want to do something on my own. I have a lot of business ideas. That's why I wanted to look for an MBA specialized in innovation and business creation. And I found this wonderful MBA within TUM. So I started in April this year with this MBA. I'm traveling from Buenos Aires here for all the modules. I have 2 little daughters. That's why I'm traveling so much. Sometimes I stay here in Munich, but a lot of times I go back because I want to see my kids. And yeah, during this year, I'm doing as well a lot of online courses to just open my mind to do something else. I'm doing a coaching formation. I inscribed for the CFA, and I just took it like, okay, 2019 will be my year to capacitate myself and to start something new.
Perfect, thank you. Then Sama, can you please tell a little bit more about yourself as well, including your academic background, if you remember?
I'm not that old. Hi, everybody. My name is Zama. I have been living in Munich now 7 years. I did the EMBA, specializing in innovation and business creation. I was class of 2015, so it's been quite some time. My academic background has always been in management studies, so I did strategic management, marketing management, you could say the German equivalent for BVL. Originally from South Africa. What else? I think that's about it. I think I'll keep it short and sweet. Yeah.
Perfect. And Tobias?
Yes, well, I'm from Germany, so not so far traveled as some of you guys. There are some Germans in the class as well. But it's really great to see a very diverse people of interested, or group of interested people here, so that's really great. I have a bachelor and master's degree in biomedical engineering from a German university, and I've been thinking about doing an MBA for quite a long time actually. And then I started last year in October, so I'm right in it right now, trying to find a master thesis topic. Hopefully I've achieved it. And then, yeah, short and sweet. You missing something?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Missing something? It's involve the audience? No? Okay.
Cool. Then Dragos, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dragos. I'm originally from Romania, but living in Germany for 8 years already. Time flies. I didn't have white hair when I came here, not in the program. I'm also a biomedical engineer as Tobias, but my background was always IT, so I was working in telecommunications before, and I studied telecommunications. Now I'm working for BrainLab, which is a software manufacturer for medical devices. I could tell you a lot about the company, but what I'm doing in the company is I'm in charge of IT integration projects with our customers. So I'm advising our customers on how they could integrate our devices and achieve the digital transformation everybody talks about nowadays. And the program certainly helps with it. I will tell you more about it later. And feel free to ask questions afterwards. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much for the wonderful first words. Now we'll start with a big topic, so about motivation. So because you have a lot of options to choose a great Executive MBA program. So I would like to learn more from all of you. Why did you choose TUM and the specific program? Did you consider other programs? And yeah, Dragos, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So for me, the decision was fairly easy. I was looking for an MBA for some time already because at that time I didn't have this position. I was working in support and I was not feeling intellectually challenged anymore. I wanted to learn new things, like Geraldine said. But at the same time, I wanted to keep the technical track, and there weren't many MBA programs which offered so many modules with focus on IT. So once I found it, I said, okay, I will apply. The process was very fast for me. I think less than 6 weeks it took to apply and get admitted and start the program. And here I am, one year and a bit later. Yeah, it's been great.
What about Tobias?
Yes, so I've been working for also a medical device company. We're doing eye lasers. So maybe somebody knows Bausch & Lomb. They're doing contact lenses. We are actually a small part of this company. I've been doing that for 5-6 years, and then I said, hey, I'm getting so narrowed down in the medical device field. I want to broaden my horizon, get some general management experience, and this is exactly the program I've been looking for, really. I didn't want to specify myself or focus on something else again. I was already a specialist in one field. I want to broaden the horizon, actually. And of course, this was basically my most important argument. But then, of course, I want to increase the skills, soft skills. When you talk about management, great leaders, they're always really enthusiastic people. And then, of course, I wanted to accept the personal challenge. Just like you, I felt a little bit, not bored, but also not challenged. And I think I'm still quite young enough to accept the challenge, and that's why I went for it. And then the third and also really important part of it is the network. As John has already said before, you get to know so many great people. I think because you get to switch in my program at least, the people that you are with, I think once or twice at least, all of a sudden you have a huge network and you have actually spent time with so many different people in group works, in presentations, in drinking events in the evening, in just saying hi, in class. It's amazing how many people you get to know. It's really important, and I think one of the highlights of the MBA program.
And also, did you consider other programs? So
yes.
Why TUM?
Yes, I did. Well, I'm living in Munich, so of course location was a big factor for me. I have been in contact with several other EMBA students from all over the world before, and they told me, hey, try to choose a program that's located near you, so that you can also participate in the event that happened, not university organized in the evenings, but just privately. As I said, networking is a huge part of it. If you are from somewhere else and somebody announces in a WhatsApp chat, hey, let's grab a beer tonight, you're not able to come. Sometimes that's really sad. And we have people, as John said, from Shanghai, from Turkey, from Africa, who are really sad that they can't join these programs or those private events in the evening. And I think this actually was the most important factor for me in the end.
Thank you, Tobias. What about in the innovation business creation, ladies?
Personally, for me, I think you guys have made really valid points, but I've been to, when I was researching the MBA, I did those MBA evenings, the ones where all the universities come and they're like vying for your attention. And I was looking at other universities, but one location was important for me at the time. I was young and in love, and I wanted to stay in Munich. And so, the INSEADs versus the WHU versus, studying somewhere else. For me, I wanted to, be based in Munich. But then, when you're looking at Munich business schools who are offering an MBA, I think what's also important, and this was a personal motivation for me and also recommendation for you guys, is accreditation. You don't want to go to university that's going to make you pay like 30, 40,000 and you find out your MBA is not worth the paper that it's printed on. So the TUM is an accredited MBA. Not a lot of business schools can say that. And do your research when you're looking at MBAs. Is it accredited? Is it something, when you put it there, and also the name, TUM University has got a strong name, it's got a strong brand, versus, these fancy private ones that nobody knows. So it's quite important, and that for me was a motivation, because you become this big part of this brand and of TUM, and that carries a lot of weight. And so that's also something, as a motivation for my personal movement, I would recommend that you guys take that into consideration.
Well, yes, obviously I didn't choose the nearest one because I did some research for Buenos Aires as well. Nevertheless, I think what Sama just said, the brand is really, really important, and I have the experience that all the MBAs from Argentinian universities, they're not, I don't want to say the worth the paper, but they don't have strong brand names. And the TUM is one of the most important university in Germany. It has a really, really strong brand name. And that is why I chose, or when I was looking for an MBA, I really wanted to do an MBA in innovation and business creation. As I'm an economist, I didn't choose the normal MBA program because this is more or less, I thought, covered. So I wanted to do something on my own, found something on my own. That's why I really looked for an MBA in innovation business creation. And yes, you're right, it's not always possible to participate in the events. Nevertheless, it's a matter of organization, because my module finished on Sunday, and I'm here. And whenever there's something or a private event or whatever, we have our groups. They say like, Jerry, will you be there? Can you come 1-2 days before? Can you organize? And when the group, half of the group, or we are from everywhere as well. So what they just say like, hey guys who don't live in Munich, can you organize? Or they even say like, look, we don't make it on a Monday as the module starts on a Thursday, we do it on a Wednesday. It's everything about the group and the organization, and in my group it works super well.
Perfect. It's very good to have so many diverse, perspectives for this topic, because really, I've also seen that really many of the social events do take place during the module itself. So there is, at least you can join them, and maybe as Geraldine said, if it's next to the module, then and maybe you are here for summer or Christmas as well. And especially, like, why would you do it in Munich, especially if you feel that you want to get into the industry here in Munich, or if you see your future in Bavaria or Munich. Of course, Technical University of Munich is part of the elite universities in Germany. So as mentioned by the panelists, the brand name is very strong here across the companies. Maybe a bit different with some other private business schools who are now also offered here in Munich. But TUM has that brand name, so that's something that you should keep in mind. If we move to 2 other very important hurdles, because as we can see, we are here on a Christmas week. We have the motivation to study and learn about these programs, but there are 2 big hurdles usually that we come across. One is finance, and the other is time. So we will talk about these topics next. We will start first about finance. How did you guys finance the program? Did you use tax benefits? Did you use maybe company sponsorship, loan, family, parents' help? Geraldine, you already a little bit touched upon this topic, so if you want to a little bit extend and also tell about the cohort and how did they finance?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in my case, it was the finance part maybe rather easy because I used the package I received from my company. Nevertheless, I really left a super secure job just to change my life and do something new. This is a big bet as well, but I said, no, I will take the package and I will invest everything in the MBA and in my education because I want to do something new and I will invest all of this money. So that's what I did. Nevertheless, I know from my fellows in the program that they either convinced their companies to pay half of the MBA, for example, or even the full MBA, because nowadays as well the corporates see innovation is super important, and if we do not innovate, then they will get lost on the track. So this topic is really aware in the corporates as well. So a lot of my fellows, they have support from their companies.
Thank you for sharing. What about Sama? How did you finance?
Well, I'm a trust fund baby. I'm joking. I'm not. I did the other extreme. So, I mean, I was not fortunate enough at the time I was working at Microsoft. They did not pay. So I took out a loan. I said, fuck it. Oh, can I say that? I said, I'm just going to take that risk and take out a loan. Because of there's a really good, in Germany, you get a big payback from the tax. So, you know, it helped afterwards. And at the time, the company I was working for at Microsoft, they gave me vacation days. Looking at the people in my class, I think, I'm not sure if this is only applicable for German students, but I know some of the, my classmates, there's a, wie heißt das, Bufa. There's a thing with a German where they can assist you with money. You can get like a stipend or something like that. And it doesn't pay like all of it, but you can get some money from the German, some institute. And also making, you'll be really surprised if you ask your manager, Geraldine is right. If you ask your manager or the big boss, like, I want to do my MBA, how much could you support? You know, companies will say, we'll support you, but then you have to stay with us for a year. Or, you know, sign a clause that, you know, you have to pay them back if you leave. Take that risk, do it. I think if you have the opportunity to get it paid for or financed, take that opportunity.
I might comment a little bit on this. So I see that it's a little bit, how much do you see your future within that company? If you are pretty happy with your current position or within the company, then definitely let them sponsor you and sign contracts to stay longer with the company. But if you're really looking to change ASAP, you might want to also consider if you have the finances to pay that yourself, because then you are not tied with the company. You don't feel morally that you need to stay with the company. When I used to work in the Netherlands, we knew that 60% of the students nowadays pay everything themselves. And that's totally different than it used to be in the past. It used to be that 70% were company sponsored. And nowadays only 40% there gets some money. I used to recruit hundreds of Executive MBA students, that's why I know these stats. But especially the tax benefit, it's a huge thing here in Germany, really. Also, it's available in France, in the Netherlands, but it's not available, as an example, in my home country, in Finland, not in Denmark. But you can pay up 30-50% back of the money. And also you don't need to pay the full amount when you enroll for the program, but only the next 6 months. So really take this into account when you think, do you ask your company to sponsor or do you do it yourself? Often it's a combination of both still. What about Tobias? How did you pay?
I can't disclose, but anyway, I'll just tell you, after talking to many people within our class, it's, as you guys said, it's either 100%, either 0 or somewhere in between. Everything is possible. As you already said, also, if the company invests in you, supports you, of course they expect something in return. So just like you said, they'll try to bind you for 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, I don't know. But then what happens, usually they have a gradual payback rate. So let's say you're bound for, I don't know, 3 years. They pay everything. Of course, after 1 year, you have to pay only half of that back that they gave you. I think that's even in the law somewhere, I don't know. So I think if I had the choice, I would totally go for that, because after you finished your MBA, you're worth so much more anyway. Any company you apply to, hey, you can easily ask, hey, I've invested that much money, or the company has. If you want me to come to you, you better pay my MBA. I think that's quite easy, the argumentation there. And I would just ask, I mean, if you have been working for your employer and they are happy with you, I'm sure they are happy to support you, to grow personally, to grow within the company. It's a good investment, usually easy to justify to their bosses. I'm quite supported in terms money a little bit and also time. So I'm quite happy about that. But of course, you know, not everybody can be in that fortunate situation. Just try your luck, be as genuine as you can be, try to be prepared, show them the track. Here I've looked at many different universities, this is the best fit for me. These are the reasons why, you know, I can benefit to our company after I finished it, or even while I'm finishing it. I think there's something in it for everybody.
Especially, like, as an example, the master's thesis, that's usually where you get to combine together all the learnings from the program, and really you can usually do that for your own company, or maybe for the company that you would want to work next, because you might maybe do that as a consultancy or entry assignment for the next company. And when you are looking or you're asking for that sponsorship from your company, you really want to talk about what's the benefit for them. And maybe you can agree that, as an example, after every module, you also share for the team your key learnings, or the key learnings you think can be applied within your company. And also you might want to look if there are internal sponsors, or maybe there was another employee from the company who did also the MBA, that maybe they can be like allies for you in trying to get and of course ask in the right time. You know, if you ask now, early 2020, that's when companies have more money available, because the new training budget available compared to maybe now in December, and also maybe after a good annual review or discussion, that's the right time to ask. What about Dragos? How was your story?
Yeah, so I'm going to try to keep it short. I was talking to my manager about what can we do in the future, and the topic of the MBA came up. I got 1 semester sponsored by the company, 1 semester sponsored by the Finanzamt, because I'm going to get back that amount of money, and I paid half of it by myself. I had to choose between the money for 1 semester or vacation days. I chose the money, so all my vacation days are going into the program. As you said, that's also very important. So no vacation for me this year and next year, but it's fine. I mean, you can be creative and figure a way how to do it. I also got unpaid leave when we went to Berkeley, and I spent 1 more week in US and did a bit of road tripping. So there are different opportunities. You need to find what's working best for you. And if I'm allowed a joke concerning the amount of the money you spend in this program, I have a friend who bought a house in Munich recently, and only the garage itself was 50,000 euros. So all our economies were not even enough for a garage, so we said, well, better spend it wisely and invest in education rather than 2 square meters. So yeah, it was easy.
May I say something motivational as well?
Of course.
Super. Because I really think, I mean, it's your life, it's your education, what you're investing in. It's not you're just buying anything, it's you invest in. And I always have in mind, it's about the pain as well you have. Because if you say, I have to collect 100,000 euros because I have to pay an operation for my father, for my son, for whomever, you would do it in 1 month. Because the pain would be high enough to collect this money. So if you now have to invest this money for your education, for your future, this shouldn't be an obstacle. That's my opinion.
Perfect. I love that one, I have to say. And also, like, when we did touch about the additional days, you know, because it's called like indirect sponsoring, because not every company has resources to pay MBA degrees. Maybe sometimes companies are afraid that if they sponsor one, that will open so many other requests to sponsor as well. So you can also try to ask, like as an example, additional holiday days. Maybe you can use some of your work time for the module days. So these might be easier for the company to give, and it's also like financial sponsoring, even if it's not directly towards the tuition fees. But I think we have now many ideas about how to maybe hopefully pay the program. And of course now Christmas is coming as well. So maybe if you go to your families and maybe they can also support you, you never know, hopefully. And but in either case, of course, you're already so successful that you can pay that but from your own pocket. Another big major challenge is, of course, the time. All of us have busy schedules. That's why we also appreciate so much that you took the time and you came here today. How do you combine, especially full-time work? Some of us have kids as well. Some people are taking care of an older parent. How do you make all this equation work, especially the time and preparing for the classes? Do you have some tips? How did this work? Maybe Dragos, you look that you might want to start.
No, I don't have any tips. I see coming here at the Executive Education Center, because most of the classes are here, I see it as a vacation. So for me, it's because I take vacation also. But now on the serious side, I chose the MBA to be my top priority for the year, similar to Gerardine. So I sacrifice all the other aspects in favor of the program, and I'm trying to invest as much time as I have, like free time also after work, in the assignments and the extra stuff we have to do, because I think it's worth it. And if you do decide to follow the program and do it in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, I think it's definitely worth to leave the other things aside and focus on it. So no tips, but it's worth it, and it's not so difficult. So once the first module was very difficult for me because I forgot how it is to wake up so early and stay up so late, but when you get used to it, yeah.
And of course, you have like 2 years is the normal time to finish the program. Some of our students even fast track all the modules. So we have like one Chinese student who already finished all the modules in 1 year. Sometimes it's possible, but for a normal human being, like maybe like me, it would take most likely 2 years, and then you still have that one more additional year. So if things happen at work, life, you get kids, whatever, you can also, as an example, delay the study trip to next year, or you can do one module in the following year. So there is always this kind of flexibility. What about some tips from Tobias?
In terms of time, yes, I mean, let's be honest, those weeks from Thursday to Tuesday are tough. You'll be here all of the weekend. You have spent 3 days at work, which sometimes can be tough. You all know this. Then you are Thursday, Friday here, Saturday, Sunday here. You don't even expect it, but you're working through it. Monday and Tuesday, you know, the battery is already quite low. And then you go back to work and expected, of course, to give 100%. So, you know, let's be honest with each other. Those days are tough, but they are super rewarding. If you go out of class on Tuesday, on the one hand, you're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. On the other hand, wow, this was amazing. So you have to experience it to really know what I'm talking about. And for me, time-wise, it's usually a mix. Holiday days, you get support from work. Maybe you have additional hours that you've worked anyway that you can put in for this. So flexibility, I think, is the key here as well. But yes, you need time. If you don't have time right now, I don't know if you should do it. If you have time right now and you think, hey, what can I do? I think it's a perfect investment of your time to do it.
Great, thank you. What about Sama?
I think how can I put this? There's never a perfect time to do the MBA. I don't have kids, and at the time, it was just my boyfriend, so he was understanding. It is 18 months of consuming time. You will eat, drink, sleep, MBA, and to a point where my boyfriend thought I was cheating because all I spoke about was Malta, Ulrich. You know, you keep talking about the same people, and you know, it becomes your world for 18 months. I don't want to lie. I'd find myself at work. I'd work until like 11, 12 during my lunch break. I'd do a little bit of my assignments, you know, and eat lunch at my desk so I can get stuff out the way and then, you know, continue with work. So I was squeezing it in everywhere I got and every weekend. The IBC is different. It's Thursday to Sunday. It's not Thursday to Tuesday, so it's a little bit doable. And I mean, if you have your laptop and you can work anywhere, I found, you know, at the time, at Microsoft, it was actually less demanding as it is now in consulting. So if anybody's a consulting, is anybody working in consulting where they have to travel 80% of the time? That's going to be challenging, right? I don't know if I could have done this IBC program if I had to travel Monday to Thursday. So that's something, you know, you'd have to speak to, you know, your partner that, listen, on these certain days, but you will know in advance. So use that time and say, okay, how can I then squeeze it in? So, yeah.
Great. What about Geraldine?
Well, yes, concerning time, I mean, I'm lucky because I don't have a job currently. Nevertheless, I mean, there was a period where I did 3 online courses at the same time, and I had to deliver in each online course 1 assignment, so 3 assignments per week. And I had the MBA, and I have 2 kids, and I'm doing 5 coaching lessons per week. So, and the CFA, and I have a life. I don't know. I think it's all about prioritization. I mean, and organization. And my travels, the flight to Buenos Aires are 18 hours. So there, I mean, it's not only that have the MBA, the trip is always consuming a lot of time as well. I'm sleeping more in airplanes and yes, than anywhere else, or on airports, because I want to catch a really cheap flight. But I know it's for me and it's worth it, and I organize myself. And concerning my fellows, I think it's a little bit like Tobias said. They have the same, like, oh my goodness, on Monday we have to work again. This concerning, yes, our program is shorter in days, but we have more modules, which for me is not so good because I have to travel more. But everybody's so motivated after every module. You get so much out of the box, out of your context, out of your normal work, that the pain of having a lot of work and a lot of thing is a lot less, because you got so much motivation. And what I say myself as well, always with the assignments and with this and this, no pain, no gain, no? So, I mean.
Exactly, because the more time you put into the assignments, the more time you prepare everything, the more, of course, you will get out from the program. And it's really about the prioritizing. Maybe during the program you won't have that much time for a social life. Most likely that will sacrifice. That's just something that you need to make your surroundings aware. And ideally you get that support also from your family members, from people at home, that they will, as an example, sometimes it's the female who is doing the program and the guy is doing the food and the dishes and taking care of the kids. That's especially in my home country, Finland. I don't know how many of you have read, but we have now the youngest sitting prime minister in Finland. Raise your hand if you heard about it. Exactly. What you may not have heard is that this lady, Sanna Marin, is also a mom of 1-year-old kid. That's pretty impressive. And no, she's not working part-time or rushing home from the parliament in the evenings, but she's really focused on during the weekends, and also the husband is helping taking care of the kid. But I'm super proud, and it gives also me personally a lot of hope for the future. And that's, if she can be a prime minister and a mom for a small child, I think you can find a way to also find time for your MBA studies and work. Isn't that correct?
And maybe concerning kids, I always transmitted to my kids that my job is really nice. I never said, oh, mommy has to work, what a bad idea, or what, no, she has to go to the office. I always said like, yeah, mommy's going to the office and I love my work and it's super. And they were, especially the older one was always used because I had to travel a lot within Munich Re. She always knew that once a month, mommy has to sleep for 1 week in the office. I always said like, I have to sleep in the office, it's okay. And they know that I love my work and that I'm happy with my work and that I'm happy with my MBA, so they fully accept it. And I mean, with a WhatsApp and Skype and everything, I talk to them every day, so for them it is just, she's at work and happy.
And also, by the way, my own parents were always working. I once told my mom, why are you here already at 7:30 p.m. in the evening? And that's when my mom started thinking, maybe I should come a bit earlier from work. But I never felt that I was neglected, that I didn't get attention. We were also able to travel and do amazing stuff together as a family because my parents worked so hard. So there are many different ways to be a great parent. Moving on from the time matter, I want to little bit talk about student experience. So maybe if you can all give some adjectives, how would you describe the MBA journey to your friends, family, colleagues? Dragos, do you have something in mind? The other one has lost of battery, I guess.
So I always go on the next Monday. So after the week of studies, I go to work and I tell all my colleagues about what we're studying here because everybody knows what I'm doing and they're excited. They're a bit jealous because sometimes I do spend more time with the MBA colleagues than with my colleagues at work. So I had social life outside work, social life at work, and now I have more social events together with the MBA colleagues, so it's crazy, but it's fun at the same time. So I always tell them about the cool things we do, all the lecturers, all the case studies, and about all the cool social events that we do. But I'm not going to disclose more about those.
What about some adjectives?
I would say fun, inspiring, and also educative. So the primary goal, which for me was to learn new things, it's definitely achieved. The extras are, the other ones are extras, yeah.
Perfect. What about Tobias?
I think I've shared it before already. So it's super inspiring on one hand. On the other hand, it can be exhausting at some times. So I would not put out a negative one either. I mean, it's just part of the game, but it's still super fun. So I think these are my three ones. If you ask me about a special experience in the MBA, I think there's in the strategy module, at least for the general management MBA, there's a super fun simulation, which could be in real life, where you try to sell, I think photocopiers it is, printers, photocopiers, whatever, and the class is divided in 6 or 7 different groups, and you all go to these rooms out here and work together for 1.5 hours trying to beat the other ones in the same marketplace. Super fun, super exciting. Everybody's sitting there trying, listen when the professor reveals who sold how many units for what price, and everybody, So honestly, some of those crazy moments that I'll never forget. So super experience.
Perfect. What about Sama and Geraldine?
I think in one word, it's a roller coaster. And I think that's the best way I think I will. It's a roller coaster, and the IBC one, it's practical knowledge. So stuff that I can take away in my toolkit, talking with people that have startups, I can now have a different, understanding. So practical, yeah. Stuff.
Great.
If I think about adjectives, it would be motivating, inspiring, and energizing. Although it is a lot of work, exhausting, and my trips and everything, I come back to Buenos Aires and I'm like on adrenaline, and they always say to me, what did you do there in Munich that now you're so super energized? But this is what I really get out of the program.
Perfect. If we take a few program-related questions, Dragos, you also spent 4 modules, or you're doing also modules in St. Gallen.
Yeah.
Can you share some something from that?
Well, actually, I did all the modules except 3 modules in St. Gallen, so I spent only 1 module there. It was interesting, different. The professors there had a different methodology than the ones here, so you get a bit of fresh air. Also, the lecturers were different, so you see the different curricula. So let's say it's a different way of teaching, different way of socializing also. It's fun, and I think the Berkeley and St. Gallen modules definitely make the program better. They spice it up a bit. For me also, Munich was important location-wise, but I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to go and visit other sites and get insights from there as well. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. What about Sama? You have been in a study trip to Berkeley. Would you like to share a little bit? What did you see there? What did you do? And how was that experience?
Berkeley is a fantastic university. I don't know if anybody's been to San Francisco, to really one of my favorite US cities. And it's a packed agenda. So, you know, you're not just going there and sitting back like this and the professors are talking to you. So leading up to your trip in Berkeley, you'll be split up into groups. And you'll have a project, I can't share the details, but you know, you have to come up with your own product and or service. I think as the years are progressing, I've learned from the current classes now, they're coming up with apps and, you know, in comparison to our idea, I feel like we were archaic. And so you would then have to present to 2 professors in Berkeley who are also very successful investors. And they really take your idea as a group and rip it to shreds. But it's great because you learn what it would be like to pitch an idea, to come up with it from, your mind and having to pitch in front of an investor. What are the questions they would be asking? So it's quite nerve-wracking, but, you're relying a lot on teamwork and, everyone has to have their place, know what to say. So it was really, really, for me, a fantastic experience. In addition to that, we visited quite a lot of companies. We went to go to Google, which was really nice, to the HQ, and I think they change every year and try to add interesting companies also to some startups within San Francisco, which was really, really interesting to see. I think that's where for us as a group, you become really, really close because, it's just a full day agenda in the evenings. You get to just share and reflect on what you've learned. And a lot of people take a week, and stay on or come a bit early, but all in all, it's worth it if you do come to the IBC program and to the other one, but I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Cool. What about Dragos, your experience?
Yeah, just one small note about Berkeley. So for us, it was similar. We don't split in groups. We stay united. But what was really cool was to go and see different startups at different stages of growth. So we went to the old financial district of San Francisco, and the banks have moved out. I don't know where they are anymore, but now there were tech startups occupying those office buildings and creating cool stuff and apps and all sorts of crazy solutions. So you go there and you see how they are working, the challenges that they are having, and how they actually make from various failures successes. Because in short, this is what all Berkeley was about, to change this mindset that we have here in Europe with, failure is not good, people are going to shame you and so on, to know failures are great, you can learn a lot of out of them and be successful afterwards. So it's definitely something really, really cool. It was the highlight of the whole program for me so far.
And that's what I also hear a lot from our extensional management students who went to China. And if you want to learn more about that week and what happens there, I can also share. But as an example, quickly saying, we visit 2 different schools. We visit School of Journalism and Communication. We get teaching on culture and media topics in China. And we also have a full week of teaching by School of Management and Economics about finance, strategy kind of topics. We also visit a lot of companies, especially as an example, we went to BMW. We went to Ameco Beijing, which was very, very highly rated last time. We also have a full cultural weekend program between those 2 weeks when we go to the Great Wall of China. By the way, there is a wonderful private party at the Great Wall Hotel, which I can highly recommend. I was the last one to leave the party last time, small disclosure. And we also go to Forbidden City, so you also see some important cultural sites there. But also very highly rated, 4.2 out of 5 was the overall feedback from the study group last time. So for many, that's also changing their perspectives. But I think now looking at the clock, we want to also have some time for questions, for your questions. So I think the lady was first.
So one of my main questions would be what, in particular for the people who have finished the program already. So Zuma, maybe you want to start. What has changed after you did the program? You mentioned you used to work for Microsoft, now you're at BCG. Maybe you want to dive into that.
Perfect. I would just repeat the question. The question was, what has changed after the program? So Tama.
Fantastic question. So I think one of the things going into the MBA, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. Either you do the MBA because you wanted to change a career and it helps to open doors. For me, that was the case. BCG would have not considered me if I had not had a master's and or MBA. It definitely was the foot in the door for me and for a lot of my classmates. So you find that towards the end, people are like, oh, I got an offer from this, or a recruiter called me for that, because, people start putting it like expected in September. You start putting it in LinkedIn and all of a sudden recruiters like, haha. So career-wise, that for me, it opened doors. Because some of the folks that I was studying with were, big corporate guys, but interested in founding their own companies. I would say about 30% of our group founded their own companies. They went, from corporate and they did the entrepreneurial jump, which was really inspiring to see. So, I mean, some success stories are Mr. Beam, which was the second largest crowdfunding in Germany. That was Sven. We had Johannes van Hoyos, who started the I Love Leo. So he was already an entrepreneur with the I Love Leo. It's a frozen yogurt franchise, but post his MBA, he actually expanded it wider and had more franchise, and it was quite successful. We had two of the girls, which was also quite inspiring, also starting a traveling startup. So I think that's, for me, really inspiring to see people going from, within corporate, like me, staying, within the corporate realm, but, having this MBA opening doors. And now I have recently quit my job and I am moving to another company where I'll be innovation project manager. And it's because of this MBA and the discussions I've had with the company, that they're really, really interested, and they spent a lot of time asking me exactly, what exactly, was innovation about, because they're doing a big digital transformation and looking at innovation cases. And so that has opened doors for me. And so depending where you guys are, if you've got itchy feet, the MBA can most definitely will open those doors and allows you to have a different kind of conversation and or give you the push to start something on your own, which I think is pretty badass, and we need more people doing that.
Yeah, because as an example, as soon as you start the program, you can also start using Executive MBA candidate as an example in LinkedIn or in your CV. So you can already start capitalizing of the fact that you will be getting the degree then. It's a big part of the personal branding. That's why also, let's say if you're focused on digital transformation, maybe the business and IT will brand and open already a lot of doors. But I think others are still studying, so maybe we'll take the next question in this point. Yes?
What would you do different from your experience now? What would you do different in the program?
Okay, the question was that what would you do differently now in the program? Or maybe in the way that you did the program? Or would you change anything?
I would do it sooner, but otherwise I wouldn't change anything. So no regrets here. sooner because, yeah, maybe I can discuss this a bit. Most of us are fairly young, or I thought we are young until we got to Garching and we saw many kids around us. But I agree with what Zama said. It opens a lot of opportunities, and then you can take advantage of these opportunities earlier in your career, rather than waiting 1 or 2 more years and thinking, yeah, I can do it later because maybe I don't have enough experience. So we are really not, only 2 or 3 of us are real executives, like C-level executives. The rest are these kind of managers who are aiming for the higher shot, for the bigger positions. So yeah, you shouldn't be afraid of applying. You should go for it quickly.
Cool. Anybody else wants to comment? Okay. Then next question. Maybe the lady? Ladies first. Okay. Yeah, the question is about master's thesis, whether it should be more about like theoretical perspective, also more from a practical perspective.
Maybe I'll just grab the mic. I'm just in that process of finding the master thesis. So you're expected to, I don't know if, I texted you, John, anyway. I figured it out afterwards by myself. So you can always ask for help. You know, those guys are fantastic. They'll help you open doors. In my case, I really was looking for a topic where I can bring it into my work. Because as you've heard, you know, I get some kind of support from my company. I also want them to benefit. And I think it's more fun for me working on the master thesis. It's more fun for the company. And, well, you need some kind of academic topic to get the degree. So it serves all 3 purposes. So in my case, I'm looking at sales and operations process optimization. If you want to go deeper, we can talk afterwards. I don't want to bore anybody. But it's mainly about forecasting. So in my company, we have a very poor forecasting. So we ask all of our region, how many eye lasers do you want next year? We'll produce them. Of course, the companies say 100, and then next year they only take 20. You know, there's a big mismatch. So just one example right there. We're trying to optimize that. Let's see how it goes. Ask me in half a year again.
What about ladies? Do you have something?
I didn't start.
Exactly. I forgot that already. Sama.
For me, it was a personal interest, so it had nothing to do with my job. And you find different examples. So there were people in my class, like Tobias, that were like, you know, one of the guys in our class, he was working at Lufthansa, so he wanted to do something that was sort of air flight orientated. So if you have that opportunity and it's something that's going to be interesting, it's 3 months, it's so much time, you're sitting in this hot library, it has to be a topic that you find interesting. So don't do something because somebody says it sounds interesting. It has to be interesting for you because you're going to be investing so much of your time. And for me, I did mine. I'm very much interested in female studies and female entrepreneurship and leadership. And so that was my focus. And, you know, something that I'll then, like, next year take on to my Doktorarbeit. But I say find something that will, yeah, it's interesting. If it's not interesting, it'll show in your grade. And yeah.
Yeah, really like be strategic about the topic that you choose, because some students also decide to continue in the PhD level about the same topic. And also maybe you need to do a little bit additional writing, additional research. As an example, my own master's thesis, I didn't do an MBA, but I did a Master of Science in Economics in Finland's best university in Helsinki. And my thesis ended up being 2-3 times longer than an average thesis. My thesis was 185 pages. And that was because I wanted to cover both the academical part and also respond to company needs of Finnair as best as possible. So I actually had 2 research questions. One was about what kind of firm is Finnair in terms of mentoring, what kind of challenges there are and opportunities. And the other question was, what can Finnair learn from other companies? And the second question was just because I wanted to give a lot of insights also for Finnair, what they should be doing with their mentoring activity. But that wasn't like academical need. But I wanted to cover both points because both points are relevant and they have also benefited my own career knowing both sides. So that might be also an option. I also spoke with one guy who also handed in the master's thesis for IBC, Innovation Business Creation, recently. And his thesis was also very, very long because he was planning to do a PhD also from the same topic. So be strategic and start thinking early the topic, that you can make most of it. Next question the guy had, maybe if it's still relevant. So I will a little bit try to repeat the question. It has two parts. So one is about personal development. So what changed in your personal development during the program, and also about the people leadership. So was there a change in the way you communicate? As an example, in the programs we do the leadership profile. So that, of course, you get feedback already from your colleagues. But what kind of insights you have, guys?
It's a tough question. Since I'm only in the middle of it, I'm only halfway through, but you can still see a change. Basically, well, you do most of the stuff you learn in here kind of anyway if you're already a good leader, and you realize it while listening to the lectures. But you go out there and then actually, while you're in the situation, you remember, hey, let's paint the bigger picture for everybody, use something visual. Maybe you've heard all that stuff before. And then you really exploit it somehow. So you're really aware what you're doing in this case. Like tell them, hey, we're building a cathedral. I don't know if that's a good, you just tell them, hey, you're really painting a picture, and you're just part of it. You may be a small brick, but you still belong to that huge picture. You just do it automatically, but you're more aware and you can exploit it more. Have I received feedback? Not really actively, but you can feel that people respect you a little bit more, or treat you, or you're also treating people differently, and that will come back to you just naturally. I hope it's not the end of the progression for me yet, but I can certainly already feel a little bit of a change.
A true leader is never ready.
Yes,
you know,
of
so.
course, yeah.
What about innovation business creation? What has changed?
In my case, it has changed a lot because I was 16 years in a corporate, and Munich Re is a really nice corporate where you feel really safe and don't want to make the step out. And within the program, I mean, we have to do our team project. And in October, I joined a startup because the startup has the same idea as my team project. So I'm already I'm not only out of the corporate, I'm already in the startup. And as I'm still traveling between Argentina and Germany, I met with people in Argentina. And after the holidays now, we will found our startup in Argentina. So I see in me, I see a really huge development that from that I was anxious to found something new or to get out of the corporate and to get out of my comfort zone. And now I just did it. I just joined. I met the right people with a lot of effort, because as well, I went to a lot of events and networking events and this and that, but I just joined. I just did it, and there I see, a lot of difference. And the other thing is the feedback from friends. I mean, after every module, I'd be like, I'm on speed, something like this, that they say like, okay, there's a big change in you. I mean, I was never a quiet person, but it's even more than.
If I can add to that also, because of all the group work you're doing here, and of course we all know how work goes, right? You're put into this group today and their group tomorrow. You are so much more compatible to different groups and easily find your position in there. So I think also that makes a difference in a real life situation, or everything is real life, but anyway.
Yeah, I agree with everything which was said already. I don't have much to add. I feel more confident when talking to senior managers in my company, maybe because now I know what they are talking about. So it definitely helps. But also on the private side, I started with an old colleague, so somebody who left our company, but we kept the relationship. We started a social enterprise, and I can really apply what we are studying here, not only in the company, but also in this personal project, which I would otherwise probably not have started or hesitated to start. So yeah, it's a win-win situation at the end for both the company and for me. Yeah.
And of course, many also assignments ask you to reflect back to your work and what can you apply and what you want to change, and about your personal leadership style and where do you rank at the moment and how do you want to change that. So again, the more you put effort in, the more you will get out. There was a question in the back of the room. That's what yeah.
One question, because it's a diverse background of people joining this program, engineers as well as people with a business background. How does the program assure that those with a non-business background are not completely stressed out and those with a business background are not bored? So that, because you have to be a kind of a same level, would you say that the program is able to do so?
Yeah, so I will answer shortly. We are often putting groups to work on different tasks, and always I have the feeling that it's not randomized. Always we get in a group with mixed backgrounds. So we always have somebody who is an expert on finance and can help us with the numbers. We always have someone who is expert with technology and can come up with some cool ideas and so on. So we actually balance our knowledge. It works quite well. So in my program, I think half of us have technical background and half of us have a different background but interest in technology, and it really works well. We see no problems with it. Yeah.
Great. And of course, as an example, in Executive General Management, you often get to also pick your group yourself. So of course, you can try to buddy with people that you will learn from the most or who are in the same knowledge level as you. Of course, this is a challenge sometimes content-wise because someone might be an expert, let's say, in change management on finance, but what often happens is that person might end up teaching others their knowledge, and in another course, they are not the experts, but they are more the one who need further assistance from the other colleagues. So this is really up to 50% of the learning might come from your peers, really. But in general, if I look at the evaluations of the module, we have people who have only like 3 years work experience up to 20 years work experience. And usually the evaluations of the module are really, really good. So I think at least to a certain extent, I can say confidently that we are able to bring value for different backgrounds. Maybe one question from them.
Okay. Every one of you did your personal choice in the beginning of the program for one of those three. If you look back, was it the right decision, or did you ever think the other program would have been better for you?
Great question.
For me, it's quite easy. I don't look back. Make a choice, go for it. If you don't like it, which doesn't, luckily that doesn't happen to me. At this point in time, I don't think about other options. So for me, yes, for sure, the right choice. But I also don't know enough, whether yours would have been better for me or yours. I have no idea. I just, it's sometimes compared with, with marrying, maybe. Maybe that's a hard comparison, but sometimes you just make a decision and go with it.
Great insight.
I'm not married, by the way.
In my case, it wouldn't have made sense coming from a management background to do an MBA in general management. So I don't know what your work experience or your academic background is, but you know, I would definitely say go where the gap is. You know, if you're looking at, you know, your skill sets and where you are and what you want the next step to be, and if you're coming maybe from an engineering background, yes, maybe general management would make sense. But if you've already been working in corporates for many years and you understand a lot of the various functions and you'd like some kind of speciality and looking at where companies are going, you know, currently everyone's going towards digitalization, innovation, you know, these are these big buzzwords, digital transformation, all these new technologies. Is this MBA going to equip me to be able to, in 5 years' time, be able to land a job? No offense, Tobias, but for me, like, I want something that has a special edge. But I get in your sense, coming from a biomedical engineering background, you know, this gives you a great sort of, you know, insight and overview into the entire, you know, skill sets of general management. So it's a very, very personal question, and we can talk about it, yeah, afterwards.
Yes, and maybe me, for example, I was already as well in a senior level, so the general management MBA wouldn't have made any sense neither. As I really wanted to start something and start my own business, that was the only choice. When I see now the IT and my IT skills are quite bad, maybe that would have sense as well, but I'm currently trying to cover all of these things with my online courses. So I really took the decision to do this one and maybe fill the gap on IT with other things, but it was the correct choice.
Great, that there is no regrets, at least so far. Yeah, as I said, I would have also a hard time choosing between the three, at least. Yeah, now I started. I might have actually a choice in my mind, but I will keep that in secret. Now would be one of the last times for those who have been looking at our stream. So if you have a question, you might also type that now to John, because we are about to wrap up this session. But thank you also for joining, regardless wherever you are in the world. While we wait for if there's still some question that hasn't been answered there, maybe another one from the room. Yes.
It's more like a request than a question. Could you please elaborate on the interactions with the professors, on what basis it happens, and also I saw on one of the slides about individual mentorship. So maybe a little bit explanation around that. I think it was for general management, individual mentorship.
Okay. So the question was about more elaboration requested about the professors, teachers, and also about the mentors in the mentoring program.
You can always give feedback. We have an internal feedback in the class. You have the TUM feedback, which you always have to give. And each class has to vote on a class representative. Me, for example, I'm the class representative of my class. And we have regular lunches with the program managers, with the professors, to give them feedback, to receive their feedback, and to really interact and improve things when things maybe are not wrong, or questions or doubts or whatever. So we do this on a regular basis, and yeah, it works out well.
Yeah, usually they're really open. You can just, you know, in breaks, you go up, have a question, just ask them. It's just regular people. Super easy most of the time. So I wouldn't ever hesitate to ask a question, even if it's a stupid one. And concerning the mentorship, it's a perfect example because I just recently, last weekend, I was in Berlin to meet my mentor. So she's from Berlin. I decided for me it's really important to meet the person in person, live, one-on-one. And I think Sunday morning, we were sitting there for 3 hours just talking about the topics I wanted to discuss. And it's amazing on like that. Usually those are very senior people, having been CEO or some high function. And those guys just are a level above where we are right now. At least that's my feeling. So. And plus they have the distance that helps you in, when you have some questions, specific questions, they can really listen and give you specific advice on what to improve and how to think from different angles, and maybe even think one level above and to the next level. For me, I had also wanted to discuss career opportunities after maybe I finish. So just sharing one example. My mentor is in a similar position, and she's thinking, okay, the next step I do, what does it do to me? Does it open some doors? Does it close some doors? And she's even thinking on the position after the next. So for me, this was, I never thought that far, and for me that was really an eye-opener. That's why I used this example here. So really good experience so far, and I just had one appointment with her.
Go ahead, Dragos, if you have something burning inside.
No, I don't have much to add, but also the professors are very open, and not only about the feedback, but also about asking them ideas, personal advices, and so on. And I started also looking for a thesis, and it seemed fairly easy to get someone who could mentor you, coach you during this process. So yeah, everybody is friendly. And after Berkeley, initially we had the impression that the professor is bullying us, but at the end, we started drinking with him. So yeah, you really develop a personal connection with the professors also, not only with the peers.
And really like the role of professors is moving more towards being facilitator and extractor of the knowledge in the group. So, and we are also very careful not to choose too academic professors, but those who can relate to business, the real life business. And do we have some questions, John, in the... Okay, so they are just like sitting, maybe enjoying a fun evening. There's some eager question there in the back row. Very small one.
So there are the different modules. What's your time, your effort you need to spend in between the modules?
Who wants to take? Tobias looks like that.
Well, it depends on the assignment. Usually in between the modules you have the assignment to complete, and depending on the topic it might be easier for you. It might be in a group. Usually it's harder because you have to align with different people and agree, which is not easy, I can tell you right now. So the individual assignment tend to be easier to complete, at least for me, than the group ones. And other than that, yes, there's a little bit of pre-reading, but that's usually within a week before you go into class. So usually there's enough time, you know, if you have an evening or two, there's enough time to prepare for that. But most of the time really goes into, in my case, into the assignments. So more of a after work than a pre-work.
Cool.
Just a question regarding assignments. Do you have like this LMS system or learning management platform where you upload your assignments and stuff?
Yeah, we use Moodle to hand over, like, you can also return many of the assignments to Moodle or in an email box. So, but we always need also a physical copy. So sometimes you need to ask your fellow students to maybe bring that to the class. But yes, we use also digital tools. And as an example, the digital coach tool, Emma. But I think looking at the clock, it's starts to wrap up for now for this panel. I hope you have enjoyed the wonderful insights. We still have the live fair kind of part when you can just come and talk with our wonderful program managers with your personal questions. Before you leave here, we have dealt out the small feedback form about the event. We would really value if you can fill that, and especially how did you hear about the event, and some feedback to us. It's very, very important. But now it's time to thank you for the panelists, and for that I'm also asking my colleague Alexandra to come here and hand over together with Victoria a small gift for as appreciation for coming here to join. So let's give a warm applause. Thank you so much. Maybe one day you will be sitting here and giving your thoughts about the program. Who knows? But thank you so much for your attention, and we will continue with the fair and have a wonderful evening afterwards, wonderful Christmas time. And please come back to us with your questions. We are here to help. We can also organize personal consultation afterwards. And Thank you also for the wonderful team here today. It's been a huge team effort. I'm so proud of the whole team and what we have accomplished here tonight. So take care and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.